But I don't know, the political environment, it's very easy to make people look cool. That's the problem. I never listen to those YouTube videos. I'm sorry. I'm talking to our monks from Sri Lanka right now. You know the reason? Sri Lanka is the protector of Buddhism. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. I mean, today is the day for Sunday. That's one of the reasons I came here gladly. The Arhat Mahinda came to Sri Lanka today, and we all indebted to him for giving us this great treasure. Okay, now because I know there are few our monkeys who participated before too, so I want to go a little different approach today. From this, I will come to this pretty soon, because I want them to get something out of this too. I bet all you have heard Chatuskodika. I don't know what the English word is. Fold and double fold, right? I mean, we have a different mathematical terms in I'm teaching there. Okay, but the thing is that yeah, it's math. Okay, but I bet some of you haven't heard that in Buddhism that logical approach is denied or kind of negated. Buddha never accepted. I don't have any. He questioned the king of the country. He said, okay, he asked two types of questions, right? One about the mango tree and the other one about his relatives. And that is actually fourfold. Okay, and if you think about suttas like Katha and Buddha Sutta, Buddha said, I'm not going to go under any parliament because you know, he said that there are two folds, right? That means exist and doesn't exist. He said the world, which is either true or false. Okay, that's what we call twofold. Let me go to this. I hope you can see. I asked one before turn on the time. But this will be helpful. You know the reason? I talked to one of the very highly scholar monks in Sri Lanka, he has a PhD. He told me that when he learned in Pirivanas, they were told to kind of put it aside. It should not be happening. You know the serious reason? This fourfold logic and twofold logic is deeply used in countries like USA. I don't want to bring extra stuff, but if you have heard, they train those field agents of CIA type of place. Right. One can get the information from. Okay. On the other hand, even the companies. But you know the birthplace of this logic, mathematical logic, India. If you know Ummakajataka, even Ummakajataka, you know, I bet some of you have read this Jataka. Ummakajataka is actually one day he asked me to bring a book from Sri Lanka. Okay. So Ummakajataka is the longest Jataka is Buddha's previous lives. He is probably, I mean, his wisdom is beyond this world, even at that life. How he questioned when he gives the judgment is of course for logic and beyond. I'm going to go a little beyond that. Okay, I think this will be important. I want you to see, pay serious attention to this for logic. I mean, that's why I said those people who, especially monks, when you are using a law in that twofold word, but to say I would call, I don't know, say bad word because they are very gross. No matter who it is, I bow down to them because of the law. I will bow down to the Sangha, Mahasangha. I'm not going to use any word. I mean, that's what made me teach as a mathematician. Because they are arguing without even understanding the basis of Dhamma or Buddhism, which is Buddhism is way beyond for logic. Let me explain this very quickly. Hopefully, you will understand. Okay. Has only two sides. Remember, Atitancheva or Atitancheva in rectangle, which is either true or false. This is how we all think as the average human being, or including animals. I don't know about gods because I know they are much more smarter than us, so let's leave them aside. Okay. I understand if you don't listen, I know it's a meat. But why you listen to a layperson? You are mass hungry. If you are stuck in that, okay. On the other hand, think about this. Why people argue? People argue because the other person's explanation is against my view. Think about it, this country. I mean, I have never heard this country is even separated this much, right? We don't separate or divide the same issue. Okay, people argue because whatever you say is against my view, which is a twofold word, either agree or disagree. Sometimes people kill each other. But if you can see, that's why, I mean, of course, as Buddhist monks, you are supposed to be better than that. This is actually what we call negation is actually this, okay? Let's say I am here. If you have, I'm using simple statement, these are all components of law, it's legal, this law. That's what we call law. It's any country, mathematical language. Okay, I am here. Okay, now if I include I am here and I am sleeping, that's what we call fourfold. Why we call it fourfold? We have heard Chatuscotic and Vicotic, but we have never thought what it is. But we never thought so. What it is? This is what we call Vicotic, two folds, two outcomes. Now look at this one. These are called premises. In law, when I have heard the word premise, or we call components in mathematics. Now we are combining two components using and. Remember, Atitancheva or Natitancheva, that is actually O. I will come to this too. Remember, what is the Chatuscotic? Most of us know it. It is, can someone please say Buddhism? Yeah, it is either true, right? False, or fourth one. The second, third one. Both true and false? Yes. That's what exactly I want to get it from you. It is true and false. What's the fourth one? Neither true nor false. Yes, very good. Neither true, it's not, no, it's neither true and not false. You know what this is? Again, sorry. One day, sadly, all of these today has whose names you think in front of these ideas, English names. They think these are production of theirs. No, these are older than Buddha. My opinion is, I don't know. Probably this might be coming from the caste of Buddha Sasana. There are a lot of things, including Kala Sutta usually, right? A lot of knowledge came even from previous Buddha Sasana for Buddha. Like, look at Kala Sutta. There's no other kind of explanation for it. Okay, there are many. Now look at this one. That's what all ancient Indians say. This is equivalent to true or false. That's what we call De Morgan's law. I mentioned De Morgan, the British mathematician. He gave his name. He thought he is the one who found it. Okay, I can do it. I'm going to go there. Okay, this is ether or exists, nather or doesn't exist, ether sama nather, which is exists and doesn't exist. That's the third fold. Fourth one exists, does not exist. To stop this right now, if you want, I can explain this further, but it will take almost 2 hours. Only thing is I want to see this. That's why I'm doing this. Look at this. I'm going to name this. This is my P. That's what we do in math. Okay, we give these notations. Okay. And is to, okay, I am not here. Oh, I am sleeping. Not be okay. Okay. Now, please watch this carefully. Hopefully, you'll understand, as I said. Now, look at this. When you have double fold, okay, when first one is true, think about just one, okay, P. When P is true, not P is what? False, right? Negation is false. When I will not bring this to your quantum theory. It's a birthplace of quantum theory too. Now see, I'm going to talk about math a little bit. See what math is. How many of you knew this is math? But people know. That's why another gentleman or person, a human being, can put me to the capital punishment, kill me, the judge. Because you all agree it's not perfect, it is accurate. Okay, that's what people know. See what math does to even language. The mathematical language is what people know of the language. That's math again. That's the reason I'm using math even in Buddhism. Okay, now let's get to our discussion. When we have Q, Q is now, that's what we call four, because when we are combined, look what happens. When you have two outcomes, P can be either true or false, right? And Q can be true or false too. Look at this. Q can be, Q is the second outcome. First one is true, second one is true. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. One thing don't highlight, don't judge. If you don't understand, please try to understand. You know the reason? After that, you to you to understand. Just decide as not part of your life. Anyway, now think about flipping a coin as an outcome. When you flip a coin, it can be head or tail, right? That is head or tail. When it's the second time. When you flip the coin second time, it can be the head or tail. Thank you, some people, but some ones, but probably not everybody. Okay, let's see. This is first one is false, second one is true. First one is false, second one is false. That means somebody is telling pathological, it's a pathological lie. You see, somebody start telling the truth and telling the truth all the time, just like Buddhist monk and good Buddhist, right? We never lie. Musawada Vedana. Okay, these are average people. First sentence is the truth, second one is a lie. Okay, two sentences. First one is a lie, second one is the truth. Okay, that's a pathological lie. Never tell the truth. Okay, I mean, these are very interesting. Eventually, you can make even if you know. I mean, these are the harmless people. Because you know that this person never tell the truth, right? Truth is opposite. So you never have any difficulty understanding the truth. That's why pathological lies are innocent. Okay, the real problem people problems are these average people. Because we don't know what is true. Anyway, let me get back to this very quickly. Okay, now look at this outcome. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 outcome. That's what we call 4-4. That's the coding. When you combine two statements. That's what we call that coding. Because we have 4-4. Let me show you 4-4 coding now. First one true is the outcomes. Second one false. They both true. First one true, second one false. Yes, then false true, false false, right? Those 4 outcomes. Now please pay attention to this one, not P or Q, which I just wrote. How about this outcome? Let me give different colors. So I have multiple colors, so I can do it faster. If P is true, what do we know about negation? It's of course opposite. So this is false, false, true, true. These are questions if you try to understand this, I hope you will. Okay, now let's do not P or Q here. Not P OQ. Now, what is O? First of all, what is this and? It is a real thing. In real world, I mentioned law. This is what we call belief evidence under oath. You know, you have to put your hand on the Bible in this country, right? Or Quran in Middle East, or in, I don't know what we are using in Sri Lanka. Let's say, I don't think Sri Lanka. Probably they just give the oath. But you know, you put your hand up, I'm going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. That is lying under oath. Okay, that is this. And this is the dangerous case. And okay is the innocent case. That's what media does, politicians does, even lawyers does. Because when you use O, what happens? I am here or I am not here. Because part is true. If it is partial truth, it is accepted as true. Let me tell you a simple example. How many of you have seen people go to the stores and empty the store when there's a hurricane, tornado, or snowstorm? Why? Because media, what the media does, I mean, you know, the topic of this section when I teach in college is called living under media age. Because media is the culprit for most of this disharmony and these problems. Why? Think about this, not do the media reaction, but use that example. No, because we are nervous. What we do when we are nervous? We stick to the TV and we watch it 24. So what they do at the meantime, they are bombarding us with what? Advertisements. They are the highest paid advertisement of the year. Problem. So what we do, we get nervous, we go to the store, we empty all the aisles. Especially in this country, right? The people have money. What happened after 2 weeks? Even we had hurricane probably after snowstorm, probably 5 maybe 5 days. So we bring food for 3 to 3 people. But what happened to the food? Bad. So we throw away. So who is the winner? Media and the stores. That's why it's so paid for everything. But have people ever stopped doing the same thing next year? No. That's the problem. That's what people we are coming for, uneducated. And that's what I tell my students. Take it easy. And nowadays, actually, you know, we had a board meeting recently, there was a big fuss about investments. People are panicked when something happens. But if you look in the middle, you are not going to be part of that. That's what we are supposed to be as good Buddhists. Okay, to keep the cool, right? You know, it's called samadhi, eventually. Anyway, let's get back to this. Now, look at this. So, all is true is at least half true. Because remember, yes, there was no issue with the snowstorm, but a snowstorm came. There was at least half an inch of snow. So they were very true. So we followed them. They said at least some truth. That's what we do, right? When somebody says at least partial truth, we follow them, but not the law. You go to jail. That's what we call law. Anyway, let's look at this. I'm going to stop this immediately after this, okay? Because I need to start that. You can see how interesting this is. Now, look at this. We are doing not P. This is not P, okay? This is not P. Not P or Q. If you see even one P, O is true. You need only kind of true. So this is true because of that. This is false, right? Now that's what we call conditional statement. I don't want to go there. This is true and this is true. I mean, I can do this without looking at it. So I will this. Anyway, that's how this is this. Now think about you are combining. I can bring another one R, but I'm going to keep only 4-4. I can this other thing. It doesn't stop at 4-4. It can go all the way to infinite force in math. That's a real thing. I mean, on the other hand, I can lie to your face. I can even challenge you, catch me if you can. You will never be able to catch me. On the other side, if you like me, I will catch you like this. If you check my online ratings, you will see a lot of bad ratings because I catch them whenever they lie. I mean, on the other hand, you know, you listen too. If you don't lie to somebody, I mean, I never lie. No one can lie to you too because you can catch it. Okay, actually, We can do this one too. But let me add one more to this to show you interesting part of this. Think about this now. PO, not POQ. This is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to add one more part. Now, how many parts we have? 1, 2, 3. That is 8 folds. But this is 4 folds, but we have 3 sentences now. We combine this, combining 2 sentences, combining 3 sentences. Now, watch this carefully and you will be surprised. Now, remember, original outcome, this person is telling the truth all the time. These are average people, right? This person is a pathological lie. Nothing come out of this person's mouth is true. But look at this outcome carefully. Remember, now this is this part. We highlight. P is right here, as P. So I am going over again using this. Remember, if you see at least 5 bit of P, it is P. How about the first one? P. How about the second one? P. How about the third one? So can you catch this person for lying? Never. So this is what we call witness training in law. The lawyers, the skillful lawyers, they actually charge you $2 million, $3 million. They are not cheap. Okay, the high profile lawyers. That's what they call witness training. They train the person, witness, in this form. They create a mathematical model. Then they put the words. So can anybody catch them for lying? No. How many of you are surprised by looking at this? Look what we set aside as status quo or unimportant. Because this is, I think the birthplace is Buddhism. I don't think those Brahmins had that kind of wisdom to do it. Okay, but if I came to that idea because of Mahaushadha kind of Kumbhakajatika and other information. Oh, one more thing. My favorite, Milinda Pan. Check Milinda Pan. And now some Buddhist monk doesn't even accept it. One case is there is another somebody who wrote Milinda Pan about the Buddha. Telling who that person is, I will accept it as my Buddha. The thing is actually, I don't think even Arhat Sariputta shine during Buddha's time because everything belonged to Buddha, right? Suttas, and they are very concise. I have read Milinda Pandit every time when I read it, it amazes me about the wisdom of this monk. Recently, I heard that he was only secondary to Arhat Sariputta. It could be true. I mean, I can't even believe somebody has that much wisdom. Also, everything is mathematical, but he talk. I don't think you see the mathematical side, you only see the Buddhism side. I'm a mathematician, a scientist, I can see different sides. I can't even believe a monk just lived 500 years after Buddha, explain things like that, mathematically and scientifically. That's why I say it cannot be anybody other than Arhat monk. I mean, you are insulting that monk if you do that, which is the Arhat monk. Anyway, so let me come to the last part. I'm going to use this, I'm going to stop it. I'm not sure if there's some of you understand it. Now use and. Now remember, this is a long sentence. Only thing I do is previously I use O, right? O. It's singular O in English. Now I am just dropping O or O just to get words. And I am adding and. Saha. Remember, this is at the Saha method. This or this and this and this or this. That's what the fold. Because that's what I mentioned as B also. Okay. Now see what happened now. Remember what happened when you use and? You have to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Everything come out of your mouth should be what? True. Watch this carefully from here. Okay. Now not P. Let me write not P one more time. False, false, true, true. So not P is false. Therefore this is false, right? So this is false. It has to be absolute truth. Lying under oath. We all know what lying under oath means. Okay, you can't even dream of lying. You go to end up in jail for 2 years for incrimination. Remember, that's how a lot of high-profile people. If you remember Scooter Levy, the Dick Cheney's chief of staff, is a very smart guy, went to jail for lying under oath. They could not catch him for leaking CIA agent's name, but he went to jail for lying under oath. That's how powerful these are. Okay, because these are very successful, smart people, but you cannot catch them. Anyway, now this is false because of that. Look at this one, again false because of that. Now look at this one, this is true. That's the only true, this is false because of the last one. See, this is false or false. Both are true, so therefore it is true. Okay, this is false because both false. Right? This is false because of this. Now look at this. We are doing P and now look at these two again. in and this. And we are doing and. If you see even one F, what happened? It will be F. What's this careful? Do you see what happened? Same sentences. What's the only difference between these two sentences? One I use and, right? Sa. In the other one I use o. O. See, just tying two sentences. One thing, this is how some innocent people end up in jail without money. There are plenty in this country as well. Why? Their prosecutors can put even this person, this case. This person is clean as innocent. He's a very innocent person, but end up in jail. They come to understanding law too. That's why you better stay, not get involved with the law. The law is not perfect either. Now, why I said that? Whenever you think whatever you understand is not absolute truth and other people might be wrong, think twice. That's a good example. That's what we call couples quoting or 4-4. Now, why? One more thing, I'm going to preach you Buddhism, but let me ask you a question. Why Buddha didn't accept these arguments? Even Mahinda, I mean, I mentioned Milinda, and those great monks use it. Yeah, now, I'm sorry, yes. He became, I heard he became a monk too later. He's supposed to be because of his wisdom, the king. He's really with Minanda. He's King Minanda, I saw his information on Wikipedia. He's a real king. He's a real king. He was born in Alexandria. Well, Alexander invaded the area and he planted the new kingdom. Anyway, why would they didn't accept this? Again, I told you I'm going to question you, but if you're aware of it, why you should not refuse it, but why Buddhism has no place to even these arguments. I want to understand that too, because a lot of people think these are useless because Buddha said something else. No, it's wrong. I'm a mathematician. I understand. And based on, I understand what of the based activities. The reason is this. What we discussed using this even now, discuss word logical. If you understand Buddhism, is there anything you call exist out there? If you see it, right, there is nothing to cling to. That's why these are useless. Now, why Buddhism is not a philosophy? A lot of people heard that Buddhism is not a philosophy, but probably they don't know why it's not a philosophy. Why Buddhism is not a philosophy? Philosophy is an exploration of something what we see here. And this would entering place to this one too, my presentation. So I'm going to do everything. One day I'm not going to just utter words for you to guess. Everything I say will be proven. I'm a mathematician. But I punish my students not to prove something. I'm not going to do the same mistake. Otherwise, I'm becoming a hypocrite, right? Punishing other people not to prove, but I just utter. I mean, that's why I say it makes me stick to my stomach when those monks in Sri Lanka argue. Because I don't think a monk would have such a stupidity, place for such stupidity. Because what I respect is the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Sangha is, I'm a Sangha in my mind. Okay, so I hope no one will read that until like that. I mean, that's what I see. Sad. Okay, so the reason is this. If you understand Buddhism, I'm going to prove everything, you will see that there is nothing to cling into. Because every philosophy is based on the worldly phenomena. If there is nothing clinging to as world, any phenomenon, including this argument, using even infinite force, become what? Useless. That's the reason Buddha didn't even answer those questions. We have to understand why Buddha set them aside. Because Buddhism has no place for anything worldly. That doesn't mean there's nothing out there. We are going to prove it too. I hope you don't misunderstand, right? I'm not going to say there's nothing out there because you can see me, I can see you. I'm going to prove you, but it's a reality. That's the idea. Science and Buddhism is much deeper than we think, especially science too. That's why I don't want you to write off science either. What is the problem? Think about all the Arhat marks, because there was the knowledge came through Arhat marks. Sadly, at some point, I think the culprit is, at least the second Rajasingh in Sri Lanka, he destroyed the Buddhism as well as a lot of monks, right? After that, there was many monks. I don't have a real monk. I talked to probably some of the lay people. There was no Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the protector and place of protection for Buddhism. So it became helpless. So now it's blossoming again. So I'm trying to bring that part home, which is probably missing, back to the that's why I'm telling these two Buddhist monks. If you see it, remember, I'm using this simile all the time. I'm just a firefly. I don't want to be better than firefly. You all are suns or moons. Because when you shine, everyone can see. Right? Whatever my going to be dying, I don't care that going to, but I like to live a silent life anyways. But your job is to bring the Buddha's teaching for the future generation. That's why I want you to understand this. Because you can teach thousands, maybe millions more. How many I can teach? I'm teaching this one. I teach to my students, but they don't understand. But I don't teach them as Buddhism. I teach them this philosophy every day. Anyway, let's get back to our discussion. So look at this picture. What I showed you a few minutes ago, the reality is, I told you, there is no place for any philosophy, right? Why? Because there is no something called fixed reality. Look at this picture. I take this time very carefully. What real is what you see around. What we call is what we see, reality is what? What we see in that tiny drop of water. So I'm going to prove it. As I said, I'm going to prove this. Now let me go fast now because I took a lot of time. Now I'm not going to explain this because I prepared this long time ago, so I'm prepared. Sometimes I explain this to lay people too. Now, as you know, there are different views of the reality, right? So please read this if you can. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about. Okay, for me, Buddhism is actually Pali canon. That's what I trust because a lot of people, including I mentioned some monks, they always attack what Pali canon as old school. But let me tell you something which I have observed. Every religion in this world has been refined and has to be developed, changed. Right? When the science was improved. I don't know how many of you know, some of the best scientific books in the world is where? In the Library of Vatican. What happened? They grabbed them and they read it. But what happened with the advanced Buddhism and advanced science? Okay. Because some have tried to put their opinion into it, right? Now it has been somewhat distorted from the original Buddha teaching. Now we are in trouble. Because when somebody questioned about Buddha, my son, I wrote him today. You know, the reason he is questioning this with me every day. I told him, why don't you come with me? Rather than explaining this to him 2 hours, I told him to come and listen to it today. Okay, so if you go to the original Pali canon, there is no conflict at all, zero conflict with even modern quantum science. You know, my opinion, literally, I can even try to do it. I don't do it because that knowledge is not do it. You don't do that. That's your job. Okay, there is a big fuss or confusion as well as I'm going to talk about it. Conflict between relativity is the highest level of visible science and quantum theory, invisible science. Still, science cannot fix it. But I as a person, So you can do whatever, but keep your mind open and listen. I bet you will get, especially about your opinions about Dhamma as well. You know, I had my own opinions about Dhamma too. I had to change it thanks to science. That's what I'm going to say. Because we cannot disprove science. We are hypocrite. Right now, look what we are using, modern science. So we are using it. That luxury and we say, don't accept science. Forget it. Who are we? We are hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite as a Buddhist. You have to be proud of it as a Buddhist. Because there is nothing to hide in Buddhism when it comes to science. Let's get back to the discussion. Okay, so we are going to talk about this one. Okay, now I'm going to go there, but this is important too. But you know, this is how average people think, right? Past, present, and future. But you know, in real Buddhism, that is the present. We all know it. Bhattekarata Sutra. Remember, this is what average person, advanced kind of, if smart people call this is present, right? Right, the present is what for most of you, this moment. But in Buddhism, what is the present moment? Actually, Bhante talked to me, who has a chemistry advanced degree, talked to me a few minutes ago about fifth action. What is the present moment of a good based on Buddhism? That shirt. Everything else is what? Past. Even Arhat Saripatra said, one, I think probably Mahatipada Sutta or I think so. You know what? When I see the what's called Hale, result, the what's the Hebrew? Course, yes. When I see this I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it based on science. And that's why we can never prove Buddhism, right? That's the problem. We can interpret it, but no one trusts you. But when it comes to science or math, what happens? What's the problem with what's the power of science? Math. When something is proven using math, you can just dare to question it. It can never be disproved. Then what can we disprove? Think about evolution or global warming. Why these are hot button issues? They are not scientific. Reason. Remember last couple of presidential elections, most of the polling were wrong. Why? They are statistical. Statistics can go wrong, but math never. I lost the touch with math, so we have no idea why we learn math anymore. So that's why we don't have value. We think math is just another subject. We don't, we are people. Anyway, so now this is where I would pinpoint it that the Chittakshana, the one dimension in Buddhism. Everything else is either past or future. That's again the advancement of. Now I'm going to, you know, I heard Bhante Dhamma explain. I was very happy to hear that. He mentioned about Sati as well as Anicca in itself. We have to go what Anatta do. Okay, I will probably explain Dukkha and Anatta do in the future based on my understanding, but there is a giant in front of us. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Anyway, so again, this is actually Buddhism. I don't think I will tell you this. The Sabha Sutta. There are several suttas like this, Sabha Sutta, Loka Sutta, right? There are other suttas. Buddha explained that all means what? Whatever comes to your senses. Now we know in Buddhism we talk about mind and mental objects too. But think again, except you are a deep practitioner, can anything come through your mentality or your mind as your experience for average human? No. Okay, but you know, when you do deep meditation, that's a different. That's why probably I think Buddha explained this. Why? When you do deep meditation, what happens? Things past to. I don't think we can see future, like Buddha says, but at least we can see past in some cases. Mind, based on my understanding. But in science, basically, things are coming through our eyes, ears, nose, and five organs. Five senses, five organs. Okay, that's what we call the world. Okay, that's actually, I don't have a people know what they are doing. In Sri Lanka, they have no idea what they are doing. It's their birthright. That's all. That's the problem. Anyway, this is what we call universe. I mean, if you are living in the Western country, hopefully, if you go out there to the sky right now, not now in the evening, this is what you see, right? In a nice bright night sky, you see the Milky Way, very clearly. But how many of you have thought about this? Is that the reality? Okay, no. Based on modern Buddhism, we only see through our five senses. Remember, I mentioned five senses. Our experience is just 5%. What does it mean? You have no idea. Now look at the sky tonight. You see a lot of black areas, right? Except the Milky Way. That's Milky Way, our galaxy. You hardly see you see a lot of stars, but hardly see anything serious except the Andromeda. If you are into astronomy enthusiast like I do. Okay, you can see another galaxy called Andromeda. Actually, they are going to. I will talk about it later if I have time. Remember that if you visit the Sanskrit or Dhamma Sutra, Buddha said that there are going to be 7 suns at some point before the end of this world. A lot of people question. Some monks even try to say, Buddha explained at that time, it might be the energy or the what to call the hotness or whatever, unbearable hot heat. No, it's not correct answer. Buddha is right. Buddha never give any dubious answers. You know what happened? Andromeda galaxy and our Milky Way are supposed to collide. They are getting closer. Right now, there are NASA pictures from thanks to James Webb. That's the best thing happened to us as Buddhists. There are even some galaxies clashing right now. What happens when they clash? They are not going to have, remember, these are big galaxies. They are going to come and merge and they separate again. What happens when they merge? A lot of these orders are going to be destroyed. So there will be 7 stars. If Buddha said, I mean, when I understand this, I don't have any question to, I don't think we can question Buddha. Because his wisdom is way beyond your modern science. So it can happen. When these two galaxies merge, what happens? There will be stars, right? Joining one by one around the, because Earth will start, there are multiple stars in some solar systems. Eventually there will be 7, at that time we are living here, but this world will be destroyed. But I think he talked about that sulfur atoms are sulfur. Remember the world is going to be burst without anything. Remember the Dhamma there was like with the highly appreciated, but raised it. Dhamma says Bhavana. Scientific. Okay. Look Satta Suro Dhamma Sutta. I don't know the English name of that. You will see all these questions. It will be, you may not even trust it. But if you understand modern science, you will have a second look. So don't deny that it can happen. But Buddha was hesitant to even treat it, right? Sariputta has to plead him twice, 3 times to explain it. Because I know the reason no one can trust it. Anyway, so let's get back to now. This is important. Remember the sky I saw like a few minutes ago? That is what it is, the same sky. Now, what is this? That is a picture of the visible sky, what you see. A picture taken from Wilkinson, it's a satellite probe, and this is a microwave picture. So, do you see any place empty? That's a good example of what? What your eyes see is not what is out there. Right? Look at this very carefully. In this tiny area, of course, you don't see the entire space, universe, huge, unimaginable. In this visible area, what you see at night, there are 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion. You know what trillion means? 12 zeros with 2 in front of it. And in our galaxy alone, there are 200 million stars. Just stars. There are 200 million in our own solar system. Now multiply it by 2 trillion and count how many stars in the visible space, visible universe. Now see how many possible living beings can be there. Because again, why I explain this? Because a lot of monks try to water down with the speaking. Because sometimes it goes against a lot of beliefs, right? Even modern scientific beliefs. Don't do that. Because science, the actual science is much better than you think. Again, with all due respect to science subjects like physics, so I'm sorry to say, but the chemistry, biology, okay, all these subjects are the problem. What they have to explain? The visible world. That's why I always shine. And also particle physics. Remember visible science? Visible world is just 5%. What's the problem? I just mentioned statistics, right? Based on statistics, that 5% can be what? Statistical error. Of course, based on Buddha's word, is there. It's an illusion. And I'm going to prove why it's an illusion. Okay. Now let's get back to this very quickly. Now, why is the problem? Now, let me tell you one more thing. Look at this surrounding. I bet all of you are very comfortable with this surrounding, right? Now, how much we observe from our five senses? 5%. So, a lot of people, including some scientists, I have seen think that 5% is right. They think related to this. No, we are part of universe too. So, what we see is what? The 5%. So 95% of your surrounding is what? Invisible. Now, when I say this to my student, now think about your back right now. I may have some Buddhist monks even tell this. Can you ever see your back? Which is a good thing. Because what you see is again your front, right? So think about your own room, what you feel over. I don't think I have to tell this to monks, I don't think you are afraid at all. Right? But think about average lay person, especially girls in my classes, when I teach them, they get panic. Because their comfort zone is their own room. If you have no idea what is in your room, and you peacefully after that. But that's again. Okay, there might be some codes here, right? So this is a very sacred place. Do you see that? Or even some other beings in based on Buddhism. Do you see any of them? No, you only see us, humans. Okay, but let me go to this, but I'm going to talk about the view or see. That's why I mentioned that see. We all learn this based on anybody have biology, degree of biology and understanding? Okay, last thing I have learned is biology. I have never learned biology after grade 10, but I have studied. My wife is a doctor, so I have learned a lot from her too. Okay, this is how this is how we learn biology, right? Remember, everything we see is upside down. It goes to the brain and brain correct it. But how much time is what I want you to understand as Buddhist monks? Remember, a lot of people think Nama Rupa Pacha, Passa means what? Chakunja Padicha Rupecha, Upadya Chaku Vijnana, Dinakana Vipakso. We think, a lot of people think it happened immediately. I thought the same way. I don't want to put other people behind same people. Now, how much time it takes to see one picture, and a picture is not this, I will prove it in few days. It's 30 milliseconds. Divide 13 by 1000, that's what we call 30 milliseconds, right? 0.013 seconds. It's a, remember, second is usually time of blinking of your eyes. So divide it by 1000, and okay, roughly, let's forget about 30. That's how much time it takes your eyes to grab this. And that's what we call, of course, remember, 24 FPS, 60 FPS, the frames per second thing. To make something high definition or HD or ultra HD, that's the same thing. Okay, that's how much you can capture. Now, a lot of people sell, I'm talking to lay people especially, a lot of people try to buy 8K TVs. Should you buy 8K TV? It's much expensive. No, you should not buy because you can never see it. You are wasting your money. Okay, you are paying for something you can never observe. Only you can observe is maximum 4K. Okay, so you should not waste your money. Okay, now look at this. This is important. Because I never thought about this too until I read especially biology articles. One thing is I was reading, I don't think I should mention that we even had discussion here as well. When I accepted that Abhidhamma is not part of the speech, but once I understand quantum theory, if someone can explain Abhidhamma other than great Buddha, he should definitely be the Buddha. It is unbelievable. Because this is what, including me, lot of scientists, I'm not a scientist, I'm a mathematician, I'm a teacher, professor, but a lot of scientists pulling their hair, they lose their hair for it. They can understand. But in Buddha's terms, Abhidhamma expects everything crystal clear. It sounds crazy. I'm going to prove you why that craziness in Abhidhamma is. I never thought about this Rupa ever because I after that chapter in Paso as well. Okay, so this is the biology. That's what I observed. I mean, some of you have seen the what's it? The blind test, color blind test, right? It's called Ishihara test. Ishihara is a mathematical, not mathematical, biology professor, medicine professor. The professor in Japan used this to check color blindness. Okay, so when you see something, you think you are looking at me, but what your eyes capable of capturing, not real quantum theory, okay? Biology. This is what we see. Okay, so what you see as a human or that tree right there is a collection of these shots. Okay. Dogs can see what we see black and white, right? And owls can see at night, but we don't. What's the reason for that? Because I want you to understand how poor our human eye is. But always remember, main source because I'm a biology, 20, maybe for 30% coming through your ears. That's a good example. What is it? When you are sleeping in dark, pitch dark, when there's some sound or something happen, what you do? Most people get panicked, right? Because they can see. What do they? They try to hear it. But do you feel confident about that? Confident about that? No, you turn on the light, then you want to go and check it too. Because you want to get the information through your eyes to be confident. So our main culprit of our samsara is these two. I think Buddha mentioned this many times. So our eyes is a culprit for putting us in this crazy samsara. Anyway, so look at this carefully. This is what we call retina, right? Where all the sensory things happen. Remember, there are nice words in Abhidhamma for it. But look at this retina. In this area, there are two types of cells. One is called cone cells, and the other one is called rod cells. Rods. Now, people like humans, not like humans, I want to call animals. Beings like humans has more cone cells. Okay, so how many colors we are capable of see? 7. It's actually that, but we have 7 colors. Yeah, we are capable of understanding 3 colors. That's really good about it. Yeah, but we can capture 7 colors. But remember, think about even the cameras, right? It has only 3. Okay. And rod cells, now these cells capture color. These cells capture what? Light. Now, beings like humans have more of these and less of these. That's why we cannot see at night. On the other hand, think about the animals like dogs, owls, yes, cats. Okay, I mean, some of you have heard about dogs, right? They only can see white, black and white, but they can see in pitch dark. Why? Because their eyes are compensated by more rod cells. Okay, so it's a biological fact. It is not an accident. It's actually, again, if you believe evolution, I mean, I have some my own questions about evolution. I believe Akanimitsu and Buddha's teaching. Okay, even I'm because the problem is there are still big gaps in evolution. It's a statistical model which cannot be filled by science. Now, this is a good bit, yeah, when you have seen this in your temple, right? People bring this for Buddha. So that is black and white. Dog's wing. You know what this is? That's how butterflies see. See, different eyes give you different experiences. I'm not going to explain this too much because of the time. Okay? So that's what we need to understand, because whatever you experience is based on what? Your own eyes. So that's a password. All right, now this is how butterflies see. You can see why butterflies are attracted to flowers. Much beautiful. Now I usually ask this for most of my students are Buddhists, right? I ask them how unfair and how unlucky we are not to have eyes to get this. Is it fair to create us without these eyes? So that's how butterflies see. And why somebody who created give us these eyes to see this? Is it fair? Anyway, I usually ask this my students. Now let's see this one. This is important. Now, that's the reason I asked how many colors. Yes, there are basically 3 colors, right? Green, red, and what the other ones? You can, yeah. Yeah, these 3, okay. But this one I am comfortable with. The biologist, as I said. Okay, this is the Vibgeo, 7 colors. Now, this one we need to understand, because most of us, how many of you have heard, sometimes your monks say, show me, then I will believe. Right? People want you to show something, to trust. But should you trust your eyes? One more time. Now, look at these numbers. Remember, this number, gamma rays, is 10 to the power negative 5 nm. Nm is nanometer. You know what nano means? Divide meter is this much, right? Divide this by 1,000, billion. You know, nano is billion. This is a Latin word. Remember, micro is million. Okay? Tera is trillion. Giga is million too. This is Latin and Greek. Anyway, you have heard this word in phones as well. So nano is million, billions. Okay. Usually nano is being used when you divide by billion. For an example, giga is billion too. Then what is giga mean? It's a Latin word. Okay. You use giga when you multiply by billion. You use nano when you divide by billion. That's scientific too. Okay. So nano is divided by million, billion. Now, divide this by 10 and 14 zeros. That's how small this size is. Look at the other side. It is 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. Now, if I use a simile, this length is longer than the length of our Milky Way. I'm using a very tiny measurement. Can you only have half of the universe? But let's use Milky Way. You know how big Milky Way is. You can't even imagine, right? We don't know, we can't even see the big black hole is big. Okay, now out of this length, how much you see? Look at this. 380 to 790. This much. If this that's what we call light. Electromagnetic wave is a light. As we know, the simple level, okay, not the photon light. Okay. If this light beam in light, we only observe this much, and you say it's a reality. And the observation, this entire observation is that long. You only see this much. So based on this much information coming to your eyes, can you call that your eyes in the reality? Okay, so that's the problem. Now let's look at this. Hopefully, okay. Let me Bantes, please pay attention. Now, if I go back very quickly, because this is my main focus. Okay, because I'm talking to the Buddhist monks, not lay people. Now, where we get to, we start with this, right? 13 seconds. I mentioned that in the past, right? Then I told you that eventually this is less than 13 seconds. This level. Okay, that's what we heard. What human eye is capable of seeing. Now, what is the quantum theory says? Check this very carefully, and I know some of you may have seen this before.
The arcade of fact. The bizarre quantum universe is inside us. Talk about undiscovered universe, performing its impossible magic on every level of life and experience. What is this? A smattering of stars, or something else. We are sending an image from the light to your eyes. It's arriving at your retina at this very moment. The cells of your it's changing right now because you're sending it something with photons. Your retina keeps changing for a fraction of a second. It's erasing the waves for the next barrage of photons. Your retina doesn't detect all of them. It can't. It picks up on only a small percentage of photons that come away. It's impossible to predict which particular cell in your retina will catch a photon. Even when it comes to something as vital as our vision, all we have is our probabilities.
So he's actually, he's actually got one of my heroes. He's a scientist, actually, astronaut. I mean, this is actually Cosmos, one of the series. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. Okay, so what you heard, let me just go back because this is important to understand, especially because of this Abhidharma discussion. Now, this is a problem in science because science is not Buddhism. Okay, they see that, right? Because the problem is actually, remember about this, Dhamma mentioned Anitya Dukkha Anatta, right? Somebody sometimes Anitya, but that verse 2. Okay, Anatta. Science, even though probably they will even go to another galaxy one day, I don't think they will ever get rid of what? Atta, the Atma, because that's a fact. Even the great sages who had deep meditation, right? Deep jhana, would never get it out of them. They could not get out of the Atta concept. So they think, because that's a modern science, see where it is. There is no big science. Not only Buddha said that, science say it really. So what they say, okay, every time, right? I don't think I can go. Now let me probably go to the next one. I will come back to this. This is important. This is actually almost like 2 years old, 3 years old. This information. Okay. Until few years ago, scientists believed that there were 5 to 7 photons and human eye can capture. Now, I mean, one case actually talked to me while I was studying this. He had a chemistry, he's a chemistry professor before he became a monk. Okay. He talked about chitakshan. Okay. So that's what I'm going to see. Chakkuncha padicca rupeka upadhi chakku vijnana, right? What is this vijnana? Vijnana is part of chitakshan, right? It's one of the shards. Become chakku vijnana. Okay. Based on science, I'm talking about Buddhism now. I'm talking about science. See, now one more thing, by the way. I saw on a TV TED program few years ago, there was a scientist from Harvard, he was a Buddhist. Okay, there was another scientist from MIT, they had discussion. And he is high egoistic, big head guy. The professor from Harvard said Buddha has said it. He said it's impossible. I think I mentioned this last time too. He said then Buddhists will have copied it from science. That's the argument. Because they think there is no religion in this world can understand this. Because this is even beyond their understanding. They only guess it. So when they can write this, they are human. For them, Buddha is another human being, right? Another human being sitting in a tree, right? Without your proper clothes, based on their philosophy. Understanding this, can they even accept it? So they refuse. Anyway, so but that's why it's important. Now, few years ago, scientists believe that human eye can capture only 5 to 7 photons. But today, they believe it can be even single photon, but I don't think you and me can do it. You need to have what? Deep samadhi. I think probably Buddha can do it. I'm going to use probably meaning the pattern a little bit to prove it. You need to have what? That's their mindfulness. A lot of people again, I know some, there might be some, what you respect, some people think you can attain Nibbana using mindfulness. Can you? What's the problem? If you use a CD, what is mindfulness? Just the O. What you need to cross the river, the raft, the wisdom. But without wisdom, without mindfulness, can you cross the river without the O? O is, you know what my problem, right? The harbor. You need, I mean, I feel, but I'm a lay person. I'm tired of living this world. I hate samskar when I receive it by this. But what's my problem? As a lay person, I cannot practice deep mindfulness meditation. But whenever I go out there, what happens to me? I drag back into the pole of physics. That's how I go to work. I hate trying to be my word silent, but I can't. Okay, that's why we need mindfulness. But mindfulness cannot be mindfulness in theory, of course, Anapanas is the same, but you need to have what? Serious wisdom, right? To see. I know Bhante told to me, he has that. That's why I love him and respect him there. That's different. Remember, there are three types of, we have talked about this before too. There are three types of monks, right? Who had paths, what is Panavimukti, right? Kaya Sakti, and Saddha, what's the what's the first one? Panya is the wisdom. You can use three paths. Kaya Sakti means using mindfulness. That's one path you are taking Bhavana. Saddha is using Saddha, which is actually this is a Savita Sutta. And talking about it. There was a discussion between Arhat Sariputta, Arhat Kotita, and Arhat Savitra about who is better, who practice mindfulness, who has wisdom, who has deep sadhana. And Arhat Sariputta, of course, says the person with wisdom is better because he's the wisest man. Arhat Kotita said the one with sadhana, deep mindfulness meditation and the jhana, samadhi. Kotita said the one with the sadhana. Buddha said all three are important. Whoever attend Nibbana first is the winner. Doesn't matter which path. Anyway, so yes, you need both. Now, why I said that? Now, let me go back. I'm not going to run it. Hopefully not. Okay, let's leave it like that. This is what you see at each touchdown. You see anything? Now, what happened? What happened to this is what you call sanskar, right? Remember, rupa, sanskar. What is the nature of sanskara? Upadopanayati, vayopanayati, is the Buddha. It becomes something else. But what the science is, this is where Buddha is winning big time. This is why I'm doing it, not a scientist. Okay? The science can never say what you heard. This comes and what happened? It stick to your eyes, right? You attach it, of course, Buddhism too. You store everything, it's like the brain game. Your brain capture everything and collect. Okay, how much time it takes from this point to this point? Go quickly. How much time it takes to that point to this point? 30 milliseconds. That's the problem. Okay, I don't think even the attain the kind of what called arhat without getting they will not see that. Because you need deep meditation. So this is what we call that 30 seconds situation. Now that is faster. So what we saw before, guys, this is what I want to understand. Now think about Chakku Chapatha Lupecha Upade Chakku Vinyana. Now I don't want you to trust me. That's the Chakku Vinyana. The other one is the faster. Now, this is where even science, two schools are not killing each other, literally. right? Even Einstein was arguing with Niels Bohr because Einstein never believed this until he's dead. What's the problem? I know there are some Buddhist monks actually, very wise monks in Sri Lanka who have talked to me about this. Even their understanding was because, remember, based on science, I remember a few minutes ago I said physics, chemistry, biology are failures. Why I said that? Based on Einstein's physics, right? Light has a speed roughly 3 and 8 zeros. 2.8 times 10 to the power 8 meters per second. And 8 zeros to 3 meters per second. That's how fast light travels. I mean, this is what a lot of Buddhists use, even Buddhist monks, to kind of brush aside or negate science. Okay, now that is Einstein's relativity. Based on Einstein, nothing can be escaped from the speed of light. Because you have, I'm going to show it in a few minutes. But we have learned in Buddhism what of that. And when you straighten your folding arm, right, Buddha and some Arhat monks disappeared from here and appeared where? In Brahma worlds. That is, remember how much time it takes for the sun to arrive from sun to earth? 8 minutes. So Buddha's traveling speed is faster than speed of light. So that's the question a lot of Buddhist monks actually ask me when I try to tell them that to disprove. But what is the problem? That is, of course, classical science, Newtonian science. In quantum science, how much time it takes for something to travel? This is what we call photon. Remember, that's what we call Rupakalapa in Buddhism. That's called photons. How much time a photon takes to travel from one end of the universe to other end of the universe? No time. This quantum entanglement, if you know these words, you know quantum stitching. Okay, yes. If you want faster than distance, what you have to put your body in your what? Your mind. Why? Because it's faster in the physical world. Remember, this is can be traveled at the maximum of the real. It is what? Energy can than physically. Okay, so I talked to that one day, I know we accept eventually. Now look at this. What happened? So how we see? Okay, so the good example of this is actually coming from, let me go to this. Yeah. And this is actually one of the famous sutras. I have seen sometimes some monks have tried to abuse this too. Because they try to prove that there is nothing out there, right? Please don't think I'm telling that there's nothing out there. Okay, what's the sutra? I'm not going to read the Pali one. What overcomes? What is governing? It's the essence. What is governing everything? What creates everything? I hope you understand better than me because of Pali there. Okay, I don't think this, if you know better than me, I don't think it's a proper explanation, if I'm right. Okay. So, and this from Devata, the deity. The deity, I think probably with this kind of wisdom, it should be a Brahman. I don't know. No, think about that. Rohitas, even though we call it deity, is a Brahman, right? So just like that, because somebody needs to have a deep understanding about this. Now, this is what? Nama, forms, right? Is governing everything. So this verification of what? Vedana Sanyas, I hope you know what I'm talking about. Vedana Sanya and Anutoma lay people, listen to this. Vedana Sanya Santa. Right? Okay, I'll talk about it if you need to. Now, let's get back to this. Okay, but this is not important. I'm going to go there because I have mentioned this many times. Now, I want to see how much I'm going to go very fast with these, okay? This is coming, these are coming from the brain waves. I want you to understand they come from the original source. So this is what you think you see a picture. You see gray and white. The question is this really gray and white? Okay, I can go there. I'm not going to go because of this. It's blocked now. If you just put something there, if you can even cover this area. Look at this. It is the same gray. Now I told you that it's the same. I can, if I go there and put my hand there to block this area. If I block this area, you will see the gray. If you are very mindful, try to use your mindfulness skills and try to see. You will see. If you are mindful. Yeah, I'm going to question it, or I don't think I should be able to appropriate question I did, but you should be able to see. But even after saying it, can you say it? See it? What's the problem? Your eyes with you. I don't think I can go there because I don't want to step on this one place area. Okay. So
you are the we run the letter.
you will go from this area. Exactly. Look at this. It's the same color. Now, you know it's the same color. What happened? Can you convince yourself that this is the same color? Your eyes will let you do it. Why? Because these are the defense mechanisms we humans have created or developed. Okay, long time ago, to avoid danger. After Buddhism, previous experience. Remember, we have to eliminate all ourselves to identify, right? And to identify because what dragged me, I bet most of you understand Buddhism, if not deeply fair, what is dragging you back to the same dirt pot? Your experience and your habits. Okay, that's your habit. Even though this is the reality, okay, this thing is the culprit here. You see a light here. There is no actually there is no sunlight here. It is even that is kind of artificial created. It's the same light. Okay. Now this shadow and this tells you what? You look at this color, I mean you see a lot of shadows here. Your experience is right when there is a shadow like that, right? There is a sunlight. So you think your eyes think this is artificial created, it's not sunlight. It's not your eyes think that's a sunlight, okay, fall into this. So what is your experience now? If, I don't think how many you can see. Look at the underneath of any of these. So dark things, okay. Now whatever is dark, right, is lit by the one. Actually, no, I'm wrong. When there is a light, this is a lit area, right? So this the dark area is supposed to be what? Darker. Look at all the dark area, they look darker. So your eyes automatically think it is darker, so it identifies as what? White. It identifies as white. Now I explain it, I prove it, but does your eyes still accept it? Not you, I know you accept it, but how about your eyes and your brain now? How what kind of slave we are to our own eyes. It doesn't let us do it. Again, it's a defense mechanism. If you know. Now look at this one. Now, first of all, that's what we call shadow illusion. It's an illusion. Remember, this world is created with illusion. Okay. That's what we call perspective illusion. Now look at this very carefully. I bet most of you think this and this is two different They look like two different tables, right? If I say that's the same table, it's the same table, same size, same dimension. Will you accept it? And look at this one. Do you accept that this is the same, this man and this man is exactly the same height? I'm not going to go there, I can improve. That is what we call perspective illusion. Yes, your brain deceives you. Remember, that's why for person who understands this one, whenever you is being deceived, Sabba Sankara is what? He knows that he's being deceived, that he doesn't like it, but he can get out of it. Why? Because of the poor samadhi, sati, mindfulness. Anyway, look at this. It is, I think I created this. This is a famous shepherd table, but I brought this. This is mine, okay? This ruler is mine, just to prove you. That's the same size. I promise nothing changed. I never lie even for this. Okay, look at this. The same 6-inch. Even look at these two rulers. That's the same ruler. I cut and paste and just rotate it. Doesn't it look longer? I bet some of you don't trust me. I can go there right now and in 5 minutes I can do it. I have done. Now what is this? Why again? That's under that's what people after previous experience, our habits. Okay. Look at this. Same story. That's the culprit. Why? Because I let all of you draw from somewhere. This is your experience, right? Throughout your lifetime. What will happen? Whatever further supposed to be what? Supposed to be small, look small and narrow. Okay. So whatever closer is supposed to be wide. Okay. So whenever you put the same size, and let me go to this one, I put the same thing, but I'm not going to save some time. Okay. When something is furthest, it's the same size. When furthest, what your brain does, it automatically thinks it is larger. Why? Because something further is supposed to be small. Okay. Because of this experience. Now, you all drive, right? Sometimes actually I drive very fast too. We drive around 70 or 80 miles per hour. Have you ever worried that you are going to get stuck at this place and die by hitting somewhere because there is no road? Do you ever worry or upset or kind of afraid that you are going to hit the wall or something because you don't see any road down there? No, your previous experience says what? When you get closer, it's the same road. So that's your comfort zone. What? Your mind. All right. So now, these are famous words. Now, again, I'm telling this to you. You can't taste because you are on the other side. Don't kind of community in Buddhist world, scientists. Scientists Buddha said everything. Don't think that way too, because you have to get think about even Buddha, right? Like your what the I do have like I do have an example with Arhatman, Chula as well as that monk who attained Arhathood by looking at the golden lotus. Don't think Buddha preached Dhamma to everyone, right? He used examples too. So if you can get some information from science, get it. But now why we use based modern science and technology. You can understand people. And that's what I am doing. Okay, rather than deriving, plus this Einstein. Now I told you Einstein never believed that there is nothing, illusion is not part of it. He said illusion too, but what he said, although it is what? A persistent one, it is a continuation. He refused to accept that there is nothing. He said it's illusion too. The creation of your 5 senses. But he said it is happening. Now, if you are watching Sri Lanka news, there was a monk in Sri Lanka who is questioning what? Apa. I heard really Now think about this person's mind. Okay, I will come to this in video. This is what the percentage. That's Niels Bohr. Remember, these are the two giants in modern science. That's Einstein Okay, that is Niels Bohr, the father of quantum theory. Look at his explanation. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Nothing is real. So they are photon energy. Okay. So he said, if some who understand quantum theory, okay, if quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, if it doesn't shock you, now think about you because you understand it better because you are Buddhist monk, right? You are the probably average people in the average is not in disrespectful way. You don't know science. Buddhist monks are the, I think, the community who can understand quantum theory better than anybody in this world. Thanks to especially Abhidharma, Buddha's words. I bet all are also what I said based on Buddhism when I explained it. Okay. Now he said what? If you don't understand, if you don't shock, if you are being kind of shocked to your stomach, because there's nothing. When there's nothing, what we do, what we see, what we really doing, doesn't it shock you? That's why Buddha didn't like this. When you argue in illusion, remember Buddha used what? He used a nice word, right? But then the example who is the first one to crack the egg and get out and see the reality. Everyone is stuck in the egg. No, I can break suit. Yeah. Okay. So Buddha explained this. See how wise he is. And that's why he is my religious leader. Not because I'm born to Buddhist world. Fine. Okay. Now he said, eventually there was a debate as well as competition. He won. Okay, they were both God. They were very good friends too. They are good friends. They both came from Germany. They were both Jews who suffered a lot based on racism and fascism or Nazism. Anyway, so now let me go back to this one. Now, before getting there, let me show you one more thing because of our one day road things. This is. Let me bring this one. Now, one day, this is how we have learned, right? Our solar system works. That's how we all learn. If the solar system really works that way, is it working? Look at this. That's how our solar system works. And I got this because our one day mentioned about satellite. I don't know what to say, adjustment. The time schedule. Yes. Look at this. What does it mean? Remember the Big Bang. You think you see the same sun, right, as the Buddha so long time ago? No, it does not. Earth move, all the planets move for the Big Bang. Everything move. Universe is expanding. And also remember, probably some of you may have learned science in school, right? Before we became monks. We learned that everything is following what? The elliptical pattern. Now today, even that is being denied. But one more thing. I bet some of you might be thinking that then why we follow science? Science denies its own versions. No, it is not denying the versions. What is happening? It is improving. For an example, you all drove from where your temple to West Virginia, right? You saw the mileage in miles. What is mile means? A linear distance. When you use linear distance, you accept what? The world is flat. Is world flat? No. But that phenomenon works for that purpose. Okay, so that spiral or elliptical movement was good enough at that time, but it is not good enough today because we have satellites, right? And we even sent a probe in the middle of our solar system, the James Webb. So we need, that's what even people call GPS. What's the day time of one of the satellites we should GPS use? About 45 minutes, right? Every 45 minutes it completes an orbit. But our Earth is moving slow, right? 24 hours. That's why the time need to be adjusted. How many of you know that the time on your regular clock is less accurate than the time on the satellite? That's actually Einstein's relativity they use. Space time. You see, even Einstein is wrong that technology still works at a certain level. That's why you can negate, that's why you cannot negate science. The same story about Buddhism. Think about Chakkunja Paticca Rupechu, Upadhi Chakku Vijnana, Tina Sangati Passa. So Buddhist monk can attain Arahatu. Why understand that? Why? Because if you see Passa Nirodha, right? The negate cessation of Passa, you can attain it because you can see there is nothing to be need. But if you have a deeper wisdom, you will see better. I mean, there are monks that will argue with me why you have to admit it.
This is that contemporaries like Tesla Nathaniel theory or
No. Quantum theory, I will show you. Or you can even say that. This is way beyond the Brahman means explanation. It's very close to reality. But what is the problem with modern quantum science and Buddhism? But there is an observer. The selfness is when I say that. Some people even talk about after, right? They say after is not a word like paticca, these kind of things, anicca, all of these things. And that's what I'm saying. And these people who try to become big heroes are lesser than me. I'm not talking about Buddhism in simple understanding. Why they are even that low as Buddhist followers? And that's my concern. Anyway, so let me go back to this. Okay, so I'm not going to. Now, I want to be a little faster, but think about this one, this situation. This and that picture you see, picture frame. Can somebody make sense out of it? Based on Buddhism, science doesn't have any answer to this. Science is in dark. I mean, that's where the string theory is. Okay, string theory is actually, some scientists try to, the Michio Kaku, actually, I love him to death. Another Japanese scientist in the New York University, he tried to connect it. So he had written on the Buddhism background too, the Japanese. Okay, so he is trying to correct that, but still we fail. Now, this is like a lot of even Buddhist monks in Iran. Because Chakkunja Paticca Rupechu Upadhi Vijnana Tina Sangati Passa, a lot of Buddhist, even Buddhist monks think, right? You see something, right? The pastor, then it changed. I will show that. That's I said I'm going to show it in a few minutes. But how you use this level? Remember, I told you 5 minutes ago that usually average I can see 5 to 7 photons, but it has been proven that even 1 photon is visible. Okay, you know where I got this answer from? Milinda Pan. The Sarvapata, the remember King Milinda brought Arhat Nagasena to deep forest, right? Because he wanted to embarrass the Nagasena for the Buddhism. Remember, he what you call observed 8 precepts or 10 precepts for 7 days, and he wear robe too. Going there. He asked a very deep question. He thought that Arhat Nagasena will be embarrassed for answer this. He was wrong. Okay, one question is, okay, only Buddha can do this, the what's the kind of emitting light, water and fire? Yeah, Dhamma. Pratitha. Yeah, Dhamma, I don't know how to say it in English. Yeah, Pratitha. Dhamma Pratitha.
miracles.
Yeah, miracles. Only Buddha can do. You know, he is very wise. Of course, Greeks are philosophers. They are very wise people. They are definitely philosophy. Greeks. Okay, so his question is, Bhante, I have heard and you have told us that only one mind arises at one instant. So to emit both water and fire at the same time, right? You have to put your mind with 2 jhanas. What are those jhanas? Apo jhana and Tejana. Yeah. Because you have to come to 2 jhanas to emit water and fire. How come when Buddha has one mind, he can do both at the same time? Think about that question. You know, another serious answer. Some in India and Sri Lanka, people store their grains, paddy and grains in say like a pond. It's a huge pond. Okay. He said, King, can you count number of grains in that pond? He said, no, Bhante, it is uncountable. Then Arhat said, King, that's how many key fractions affect Bhante's question. Cease and arise at one instant. That instant is, let's say, second. That instructions. You know why I brought it up finally? Now, have you ever seen this ever happen? Because when you look at this book, you see a book, right? You never see photos. Why it is the case? And average human actually is a quantum theory. That's called Planck constant. If something is happening, seconds. Divide a second by 1 and 43 zeros. If something is happening faster than that is undetectable to human eye, you can see it. Okay, that's the speed of a photon. Okay, so think about that. The VBs or the grain storage, the Arab monks example. So how do you know this? I simply actually have a question about the chittakshan. What is this chittakshan? I'm talking now, as I said a few times, my value and my mind is in Buddhism, not in science. You know, I use it, which don't think I'm trying to kind of promote science. Okay. Based on science, everything is the creation of what? Big Bang. Actually, there is, I think, Buddha told us never to think when you start. Right? Once Arhat Moggala tried to find his origin, Buddha actually mentally called him and said, stop it. You can never find it. And as a matter of fact, these are the questions I always ask. Buddha said, the samsara is anavaraga, there are incountable number of beings in this world. But eventually, right, we all develop our mind, we become what? Telepathy. If we all can attain Nibbana, and if there is a certain number of beings who were created at some point, right? Over time, what is going to happen? Then can there be another samsara? I'm mentioning because I understand another very well. I don't think I don't want to go there in this section. If you add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus all the way to infinity, what do you think the number is? You think it's infinity, right? Because you're adding numbers infinity many times. No, it is negative 1 or 2. That's what we call infinity. Infinity is a weird, very number. If you understand Buddhism, you understand. Anyway, let's not go there. So, what is the thing? Okay, so if there is another is uncountable, never ending samsara, when some attain Nibbana, what happens on the other side? Some unfortunate being supposed to arise somewhere. You know what? I think is that in my opinion, okay, based on Big Bang. Okay, because I don't think anybody has even done a research paper. I don't want to do it because I'm hoping Buddha's work, he suffered. At least my heart do it. But if you can think, or if you want to do it, so you have all the rights. You are Buddhism, you are sons and daughters of Buddha, not me. Okay, so the mind has the same features of the photon. It sees and arises. Look at this thing. It comes and will not have next minute. It vanishes. Sees and arises. And how fast it happened? That's fast. Now think about Arhat Nagasera's example. At one instant, that's an instant per second. At one instant, there are uncountable grains in that pot, right? So what he, I finish the problem. What he said? Only Buddha, not even Arhat Sariputta can do it. He can focus on each chit action at the second, separately. Only Buddha can do it. Can you imagine it? For example, we can think about that many, but in some ways, if you make this on the other side, and only 3 zeros, can you actually know what is? It's 1/3 of Asamkha. Because Asamkha is 1 and 120 zeros. That's how many focuses he can do at 1 second. Buddha. And that's what he said, the uncountable number of grades. Because you were at that time, when the numbers were your this much, they were your player. When the 0 came to the world, how old is 0 is? Only 900 years. So we have to understand when you read the Buddhist expressions, Buddhism is one of the oldest religions, right? Buddha has to explain his understanding is to the audience. So it is not the same audience, and you and me, even though they are much more wiser than us, right? They understood it better than us. Okay, so but that's the audience. Anyway, so that's how many. That's what we go about here too. Photons. That's how many photons. Okay, otherwise it will be taken. Now think about again. Now, based on my understanding, I'm going to show you. That's what I think I'm going to now. Now, also this expression explains what? Probability. Does it click in probability? Remember, it is a probability. What is probability? Can you equate for theoretic Buddhism? What do you think? What we have? What creates our world? Avijja, Kamma, Tanha, Ahara. Ahara is actually what we see as well as our create our body and eyes, right? What is avijja? Of course, we attach to it, that's why we are seeing everything. What is karma? It is not only immediate karma, the new karma actually create our samsara form. What is that karma? And what is what is previous karma, which create our eye? I don't know, actually have to at least capable of answering that question. What is that karma? Your human eye is the product of what? We are human. We became human because of what? Our previous karma. Right? Because of our previous karma, we have an eye capable of seeing a certain amount or extent of the reality. Okay? So what we see is based on the capability of that karmaja eye. And what we call it in quantum theory is a probability. What does it mean? Every minute, there are gazillions of photons emits to your way. Your eyes are capable of capturing what? Only your poor human eye capable of capturing. What happened to everything else? They are hit and miss. Now, does it sound reasonable? Right now, there might be a demon sitting next to you. If let's say you want a demon who understands Buddhism, right? He might be listening to us, or maybe a deity, a god. Do you see that? No, why? Because they are not I was going to use the political correct way, they say not suitable, and not appropriate, whatever, to our human eye. Now, let me tell you one more example. The Brahmani mantras. Remember, Brahma, he is the first who gave this our solar system, right? He thought, because he never thought he is the first, but everyone came back and later the Brahma started respecting him and he called it God. That from there, the religions come to most of the religions, because there is a God. Based on other religions, okay? So everyone respect him as a God, so he started thinking as he is God too. So he thought he's God, right? He thought he's above everybody. And one day Buddha was sitting in one of the nougat trees, he saw it, he went there, just like this. And then what he did, he challenged him to do what? I can see. Because just like, Urvalakash, same story, right? He never accepted anything. Whenever Buddha saw some miracles, he said, well, he can do it, but he is not wise like that. Yeah, that's a average mind. And in humans too. That's why I don't even take him seriously. That's average human mind. Or even Brahma mind. That's average mind. Okay, so eventually Buddha said, but he never accepted. Buddha challenged him to hide area, Buddha found him. But when Buddha hide, what happened? The Brahma would not find him. Eventually he had to come and power. Brahma. What he did, I'm going to show you that too. Because Brahma has a certain capacity too, at that level, which we cannot see. We are going to see it as what? Different dimensions in the being. That's where dimensions come. One thing is too high, too deep, or is it okay? It's too deep, please let me. Okay, now, one more thing about this before I'm moving on. Remember, what we know in Vipassana Sutta. Lot of people question about avidya pacha sankara, sankara pacha vijnana, vijnana pacha nama rupa. It's not, it is missing from suttas like Vipassana Sutta. We go nama rupa pacha vijnana and vijnana pacha nama rupa, right? Pachudava, sansara, the cycle. Okay, because that is where I got a lot of sometimes even Buddhist community has a big argument about this. Some people like to accept it. Some people, monks, some monks like to think about the expression of Mahakacharya here. Like multiple. There are two. I mean, again, I think both are correct, but different understanding based on my understanding, especially in science. So what is actually this is actually energy cycle. You see, I can find it. Oh, we want this. Okay. Oh. I hope I have it somewhere. This I don't have. Right. That's what people really decide. That's it. Remember that wave I showed you with that 7 colors. That's the sign. Now, if you have anybody have learned, I don't think most of you have, probably maybe some. Remember sine and cosine in math. That's what it is. Harmony. Now, that is the reason light never died, even in a vacuum. Remember, James Webb Telescope was sent by NASA to watch what? The beginning of the universe. What does it mean? That light emitted by the beginning of the universe still is not dead. So, once this starts, it never ends. Does it sound familiar? I just mentioned that energy and mind. What do you know about mind? When you unluckily came to the samsara, what happened after that? You are a slave, right? You are going to right. What we are doing right now? We are correcting samsara right now. Okay, you are going. Why? Because you are deceived. You attach to the 6 senses, then you ride the wave. Okay, that's what it is. What is this based on? I heard it from actually a Western monk who has a PhD in physics. Okay, even I agree with him. He said electric wave is the vijnana because it has the energy power. Magnetic wave is the nama rupa power. Vijnana pacha nama rupa pacha vijnana. What do you know about nama rupa and vijnana in Buddhism? When vijnana arises, what happens to nama rupa? When nama rupa arises from vijnana, it's already used, right? It becomes part of the nama rupa. Remember, nama rupa vijnana is being used to create nama rupa. At that time, this God. When what happened? Stop vijnana rights. Okay. Now think about those pictures. I mean, I know I'm making very deep. I noticed this reason. I mean, we all develop based on Buddhism too, right? If you think about it. So let me go back to this very thing. So what do you think happens? Which cannot explain by science today. Again, this is purely my explanation, but I don't want any credit. I give all credit to wise monks, Parhat monks and Buddha. Okay, so remember, they say it's an illusion. It's an illusion, but every moment, right? A photon comes, remember, ceases, it ceases, it arises and ceases, right? I thought this Rupa Kalapa idea, this Kitachak idea is completely crazy. Cut it down. Usually I thought that too. But when you understand this, I mean, I start understanding quantum theory very, I understand relativity for a while, but quantum theory very recently. It completely, I even wait in front of Buddha and I beg or even think that. Because it is beyond our imagination. What you say. Once one of these comes, it stay how long? 70 instructions. Okay, plus one more thing, based on modern science. Now, what we call 2020 vision, what you see is if you keep your finger like that and watch this, you can do this experience. You see only this has something crystal clean, everything else is what? Blur. We can try it now, okay? Everything else is blur. Remember, I heard from, of course, I studied and Abhidhamma. One reason, of course, I don't have time. Again, I understand quantum theory. I think that's good enough, but I think Buddhist monk is your job as well. Because I don't want to collect knowledge. I want to understand Dhamma and get out of this mess. That's not my intention. Anyway, so what is that gradation? I heard that, right? When there are 15 instructions, right? It only can, it's suitable to your mind's 15 instruction. I don't know much about it. Word is an illusion. A lot of even Buddhist monks interpret in a different way. Now, if your eyes can capture this photon, like the pizza, who created this pizza? Remember, I have my Sariputra's word. When the result observed, right? The course is already go. Look at this. Okay, every time a photon, packet of is called not one photon, because Buddha's mind. Now my packet is called photon packet. A packet of photons arises and ceases. So what happened? Arises. I don't think Chakuinyan can, a lot of people interpret Chakuinyan as a complete picture. I don't think why, but Chakuinyan is one of the Chittakshanas. It's one of the Vinyans. Right? I don't think we can mathematically argue put it at now let's say that's silly. It is one out of 1/3 of Asanga, gazillion. So can you observe a picture from that? No. Why? The picture, human eye need 30 milliseconds to grab the picture. But Chittakshan is much smaller than that. Do you understand what I'm saying? If human eye need 30 milliseconds to identify, not identify, just see a picture, identify the different story. You are putting your experience back to the picture. If your human eye is required 30 milliseconds to grab the picture, but one Chittaksana is 1/3 of, you know what Asanka is. Where is the connection? Can you see the picture there? Now, see, even if you don't accept Abhidhamma, you have an answer. Now, that's the power of math. Again, I don't want to put myself in. You can see when something is poor mathematically, what happens to anybody? There are pictures. That's the power. Again, one is what is math? Math is the language. Why math is important? Again, I don't think you need to understand math or learn math, but why math is important? Math is the language the universe or the nature speaks. Humans created math to understand nature or universe. Now, why math matches very well with Buddhism, what Buddha did? We try to find out what the reality is, right? What the truth is. The truth is whatever happened in the universe. So real language, science talk is matched with the talk Pali or Buddha's language. That's why they came perfectly matched. And that's why everything matched well. Anyway, let's come back to this. So every time Nama Pacha Vijnana, Vijnana Pacha Nama Pacha, this is a cycle. It's rotating. What happened? In between matter, there are millions or gazillions of Mano Vijnanas. Remember? Mano Tupam Gama Dhamma, Mano Seta, Mano. Also, Anubhavishu. Who governs everything? Your mind. So these four, now one more thing, remember karma, there's a karma too, right? So you can only capture certain amount of photon and it creates just 5% of the experience we call birth. Remember I told you only we experience 5% of the universe? That's the 5%. See how poor our, even with the same, how poor our human eye is. It can only capable of understanding that 5% of probability. Now look at this. That quantum theory, which everyone is putting here, perfectly match with what? Einstein's theory and science. If you understand Buddha's word. Remember, again, whatever I said now is nothing to do with science. There's no answer to that in science. Of course, I can say I understand Buddhism finally. So I give that straight to Buddha. I mean, if you can read and write a book, probably you earn Nobel Prize. The actual. No one has the answer to it yet. I don't think you should give the credit to Buddha. Who deserve it? No, you should not get it. I mean, you have the right to do that. You are the smart. Anyway, so let me go back to this very quickly. Now, think about that faster. Now, if you didn't understand what I explained, okay, that's perfectly fine. Now, Pacha Vinyana, Vinyana Pacha Namuka, then what happened? So, Vipassana. Namu Pacha Vinyana Pacha Namuka, Namu Pacha Vinyana, right? Then, no, Vinyana Pacha Namuka, Namu Pacha Vinyana, Vinyana Pacha Namuka, Namu Pacha, no, Vipassana. So, he removes our iPhone. Plus, I have never thought about this, but what Abhidhamma said. Namupacha Salayatana, then in Abhidhamma doesn't say Salayatana. What is Chattayatana? Mind. What creates the pastor based on Abhidhamma? See the Abhidhamma is much deeper. Chattayatana. I mean, I'm talking about okay, this is Bhavana. So when you see those photos, of course, your brain records them. That's actually we collect in samsara. Now, what happened to Arhat Marx? You know, there is Arhat Prasamavati. You look, Arhat, right? As Buddha, is there any samadhi or samavati, right? Which doesn't experience anything, not samavati, but you experience something. I think I'm right. What's the sutta? I can't remember the name of the sutta. Remember, he has the Buddha, is a samadhi, which you experience nothing. For 7 days. Buddha said yes. That's Arhat Prasamavati. And he went to the Arhat, sorry, but he asked the same question. He gave the same answer. That he was amazed. He said, wow. The teacher and the photon level. If you can see, I can't do it. Okay, but if you can see what happened, what they are going to be, nothing. So they see definitely Vijnana is the magician, create this work, because it's part of product of karma. Okay, now this is important because once you see faster, now let's get to at least the simple level. It's not simple, but now this is good actually that people who deny like places like Apaya too. Okay, other words. So a lot of people question other places like Apaya and demon words, right? And the upper words because they can't see. Now, this is actually different story. I'm going to go how much time I have? What was gone? Okay, let me finish it with 15 minutes. 15 minutes. I'm done. Okay. Now, this is of course what the monk in Sri Lanka asked me to explain, to deny or kind of negate those stupid ideas of that there is no up high. Okay, they are Buddhist monks are questioning up high, is shameless. Anyway, so you will see when I say this. Now, this is what we call dimension. Let me go fast. Okay, I will show you this one. This will be useful. I will show you this in 15 minutes. Right. It is an example or two. Now, all of you have seen this probably if you have learned math at some point. That's what called number line. Okay, I bet sometimes your teachers try to force you to learn. You know, the sad thing, probably the teacher who taught you have no idea what it is too. So we all teach as tradition. This is education, that's what I have education. I learn something, I teach it without knowing what I'm teaching. Okay, this is what we call number line. Okay, in numbers, remember again, you have at least seen this, right? We call pastel graphs. We have two such lines. Usually in math we call x-axis and y-axis. Right? X-axis and y-axis. The graphs. Okay, but this is much more than that. So this number line is for what we call real line. Is what we call first dimension. Remember one dimensions? That's what this is. Now, what is this number system? I told you few minutes ago that math is the language the universe speaks. It belongs to the universe. It is not man-made. Humans just find it. Just like Buddha found Dhamma. Because Dhamma is not created expression of Buddha, right? He just found it. But previous Buddhas said the same Dhamma. If it is his own creation, he can, okay, it can be matched. It is here. Somebody has to tell us. Okay. So why we call it real life? What is reality? I want you to understand what numbers mean, because you have 1 plus 1 is 2 and so on. Okay, 1 plus 1 is 2, only real number. 1 plus 1 is 0. It can be 2, it can be 100. Okay, I don't think most of you are using iPads, you can say that. Okay, how come 1 plus 1 is 0, right? Yes, I don't before that. Anyway, so reality is what you receive or observe from what? Your 5 senses. That's what we call reality. Your observation, your experience. So that's what we explain using these lines in mathematics. Okay, now look at this line, the first one. Again, no one can live in this world. Don't assume that anybody can live because it's not suitable enough for a being to live. But okay, but think about there is a being or species or some kind of living beings. Okay, if this being experience something, what this being can see. Remember, this person is living. What he sees is what? Or he or she, I get the neutral. Okay, just this. What does it mean? Look at that. That picture shows better. It's just a dot. Remember, the dimension is a distance, a length. It can be a width or length. Okay. So when you have a dot or point, right? It has what? No width or anything. That's what called zero dimension. Zero. If someone is living in one dimension, this person observes zero dimension, no dimension. Now look at this one, the second one. Now, hypothetically, somebody can live in this world. I saw after YouTube video, some people in Sri Lanka, the pundits try to say, uneducated people, that this progress is wrong. It can be, but think about amoebas, bacteria, or even ants. That's their experience, truly. Okay, I now write it because I like to keep those people at 240. That's the idea. I let them say their stupidity. Anyway, so if someone is living in this world, what happens? Check this carefully. Okay, I am going to draw a picture here. You all can see it's a tree. Can this be, we call them Catalanders. Okay, that's not the name given by scientists. Because we try to use Catalanders to understand tree. So this is poor landers. What this Catalander can see. Is there any blank? Can I borrow blank paper from you or is it important? No, I don't. I can take one. One, look at this picture. You all see this why because you are living in this dimension, the third dimension. But if someone is living here, what happens? Look at this. What is the see? Alive. Because he's living here. I follow you? Because when you are living on this plate, you can see the feet. There is nothing called feet for this person. Okay. So this person only see what was this cross section. So this is what this person called the tree. Okay. This is the second part of Paticca. Paccapasya part. Vedana, Vedana Paccha, Tanha, Tanha Paccha, Upadana, Upadana Paccha, Paul. So Paccha, Jasvara. Okay, Jati, then Jaramana, the second part. Now again, I'm explaining relativity. I don't know, Einstein understood this, he could have been at any part, but see the unfortunate, he's a much smarter than me. Okay, that's the luxury of being a Buddhist. Again, that's why I'm blessed to be a Buddhist. Anyway, so this is it. Now, remember one more thing. You can see this all around. If this flatlander wants to see the other side, what should happen? Now, remember this view. Let me tell you a simple example. Can you see the other side of this building? No. If you want to see the other side, what do you need to do? You have to walk through this door, right? Go all the way around and come to the other side. Now, this is your present moment. What is that? Your future. Are you following me? Please pay attention, it's very important. Okay? If you want to see the other side of this, just other side. Right? If I have a role, I can impact it. But if I want to see, I have to walk through this door to another axis and come around the building and see. When I go around, what happens? That is my future. Remember, this is my present. Now, whatever my behind is what? I move forward, right? That is my past. I past, this is my present, this is instant, remember? And then that is my future. Now, with the same understanding, think about this flatland. Right now, this flatland see whatever like that. This cross section. Because remember, think about I'm just drawing this tree all the way from this end to this end, right? This is what I'm saying. And just making it. Now you see this whatever it is. But what this person sees is what? This line. Whatever the cross section, it doesn't see any curly lines or anything. Okay, so if this flatlander won't look at this side, what will happen? It need to move, right? To come to this side. Now, what is this for this person? This is the future. This is this person's present. Now, if this person moves from here, that is this person's what? Text. Moving this way. I know you understand. Yeah. Okay. So that is past, present, and future. How about you and me? We see this person's past, present, and future when? At the same time. You see that? We see the past, present, and future at the same time. I'm trying to kind of eliminate that because this is more important than different dimensions. Now, what does it mean? One more thing. Remember, I mentioned shadow illusion and perspective illusion 2 minutes ago with the colors. Look at the two pictures. Okay, the rhombus and the disc. They are two-dimensional. So they are disc. Okay, so and rhombus and disc. No. Now look at this picture. Of course, the first one too. Okay. Think about this and this rhombus has the same diameter and width. Now this my flatlander. Can this flatlander see a difference between this and that? No. Why? Okay. Yes. So the first one is okay. When the flatlander look at the second one, it see the same. So at instant, this flatlander has no idea between the difference between circle and the rhombus, or in this case, a square. But is there any way this flatlander can see a difference between these? And the flatlander understand the difference between these two shapes? What do you think? Yes, it can. It can. That's their relativity or okay, in Buddhism. In relativity, look at this. When this flatlander or this being want to observe this entire circle, it will what? Look at this. We can see the entire, right? But this poor being has to move around. It has to move around to observe. But every time what happens, it see what? The diameter. Because the distance is always the same. Okay. So for this flatlander, this is what observe. You know what these lines are? Those are time. That's what called, if I were to have a word space time, right? Relative, that's space and time. Space time on continuum. I'm explaining relativity. On the other hand, this is a potential power, which brilliantly and much better explained. But better much more better way explained by Buddha. Okay, but I didn't make you MS yet. Look at the second one. What happened when this flatlander tries to observe this? Remember, that is his person. What happened? It start moving to this distance. It start what? You see something happen? Because its cross section become longer. Because it's here, right? When we come to this corner, what happened? It's in the diagonal. Okay. So originally, these two were the same. But after that, what happened? For this person, it gets what? Longer up to the diagonal. After the diagonal, what happened? It's getting smaller. You understand? Is somewhat what I'm saying? Now see how what kind of mess we can do. It's not our word. That's a flatland. I will come to our word in this. So this is what that flatlander called what? The circle, which is, looks like a square to us. That is what this flatlander called the square. Can you ever convince this person that he or she is wrong? Be careful. Because this is again his or her beliefs. You frustrate them, right? Because you are telling that that's not the same. Why would the refuse even underscore the so-called and the twofold arguments? In his understanding, everything is what? Garbage. Just like, think about this flatlander, I will explain this to you. Do you accept this as a reality? No, you just leave it alone, right? That is not what it is. Look at the difference between this shape and that. It's completely different. But that is his or her experience or word based on observation. Did you understand what I said? Okay, now, one now, I will think about even one instant. Forget about that space and time, I showed. Think about one instant. When you just take a screenshot or picture, can the flatlander see difference between the rhombus and the circle? Yes. Why? Look at the shadow. That's called shadow illusion. Okay. Even in one screenshot, it has a difference with shadow as well as color. The first section. Okay. Remember, this is the same distance, so it's the same height. If it is different distances, right, it will be different. Right? So it can understand the difference. And you know the funny thing? You know the funny thing? If you ask a flatlander to draw a rhombus, this is what he or she would draw. So that is this person's rhombus. Because remember, why we call this rhombus? When we were kids, they told us somebody showed this picture, like for you, elementary school, they call you a rhombus, right? From that day, you call it rhombus. It's a convention. So the flatlander, somebody showed you this as a, remember, when if flatlander was listening to it, he or she heard somebody call this rhombus, so this is this person's rhombus. Similarly, this is what flatlander called what? This. Okay, that is this person's reality. Okay, now add that quantum theory to this, you will see how crazy. Remember Buddha said, Sabda Sankara Swati Viharam. Think about it. How do you feel now about this person? Don't you feel sorry? You know the problem? Don't feel sorry too much. Why? We are only one more dimension better than this three. How many dimensions we are in? 3. How many dimensions based on science? 12. Based on math? Infinite. Multiverse concept in quantum theory, right? Parallel universes. That's where it comes from. That's why I'm cutting off time here. And you will be time for this too. Now look at this. So what you observe, you go fast. Remember this thing? This is actually repeating the lot of people, I don't think I hardly hear it now. Lot of your monks try to make this chitra as Varna Satana, right? No, it is not Varna Satana. This is Buddha. You think Buddha didn't understand this? This is the problem. Remember, as I said, Buddha explained this to the world who had not even seen a bicycle. Right? There was nothing in that time. People lived with the very low means. So when, even though he had all the wisdom, but how do you explain it? Okay, so that's why a lot of people think this Varna Sadhana. No, this real chitra. What is this chitra means? I'm going to go there very quickly. Now, one thing is remember. Remember what I told you, we super very quickly. In one dimension, you observe what? 0 dimensions. In 2 dimensions, what you observe? 1 dimension. You always observe 1 dimension less. So in 3D, what you can even observe? 2D. Remember, 2D is frames. It is not Bhavana, it is a frame. The puzzle we talk about. What you observe, because average human I cannot understand anything we deeply research. So we are capable of reading. So I started capable. But the chitra is 2D text, as we know. Okay, even see her. Now let me go to this. Okay, that's what it is. I don't go to explain because that's a puzzle. Now what happened after puzzle? You put all your garbage in this, right? Remember that in this what the sutta, the deep sutra about Paticca, the Mahayana Sutra. Buddha goes in a different branch after Tanha. Remember, Dandadana, Sapadana, basically part, you know, Tanha separated 2 different parts, right? One go to Pattamulika Tanha, other one go to what? Samdha Tanha. Only I think it's only Mahayana Sutra, you can see. Remember, that Tanha is Pattamulika Tanha because it creates the Vatta Samsara, that's Samsara. Remember, that's time frame, space and time. That's the time, who is the corrector? Tanha, mind. Okay, but this Pattamulika Tanha, the Samdha Tanha, the other side, other branch, which is of course the stupid part as a human being, we all have. Anyway, so when you see this, you know that you observe a lot of things. Remember color. People who speak English will call it yellow. People who understand single will call it kaha, right? And only we'll call, and also look at this. You can see it's a cafe, probably coffee shop, right? If there's a Chinese person here who doesn't understand English, for that person this will be gibberish, right? For us, when you see this, I get you need the break and the coffee right now, or bilang puzzle. So you need the bilang puzzle when you see. See, that is our own information start processing. When you see this information, that's a puzzle. Create what? Puzzle tanha, and so on. I'm not too bad better. Anyway, now I will explain it fast. So that is what we can observe every instant. Remember that instant is not instruction. This is 13 milliseconds, as I said. There are a lot of things happen between that 13 milliseconds to instruction, as I explained. Okay. So that is the, remember that's space time. That's this person, our space time. That's 3D world. Because we observe two-dimensional frames. For an example, what is your two-dimensional frame right now? Let me tell you very quickly. Every minute or 30 milliseconds, your eyes capture your graphic picture. Okay, now when I raise my hand, what happens? Your eyes capture different frames, right? Then who creates this fact, this movement? Based on science, your own brain, or based on Buddhism, in your own mind. Okay, because your mind records this and created by you. Or one more example, very quickly, because you are kind of thing. Think about when I speak. Every nanosecond, you grab a sound bite. But that sound bite is what? A big noise, right? It's a mess. You hear this noise, you hear people are moving, you hear my noise, right? It's a big fuss. Okay, then what happens? Your brain captures all those sound bites. Remember that is the bulb. What is the jatma? In between, what happened? There are multiple faster. What happened in between? Your mind, right, filter everything, only grabbing my voice. But who creates this voice and the conversation? Your own mind. So your mind is the creator of your own word, not here. It's right there. Is that clear what I'm saying? Okay, so that is actually 3D. Now look at this. Very fast now. I'm going to stop it after this. Look at this carefully. So this is what the time frame, those timelines. That's a 2D. So every moment, your eyes capture the time frame, not time frame, space. That is space. Puzzle. Okay. And your mind is a culprit, as we know, Vijnana is a condition. It records, it can, I mean, at this level, there is no Dhamma. Make no mistake. Because Buddha can see it too. Okay, this natural process. Remember, they have Anupadisesa, they have Upadisesa too. Okay, that's Upada. Okay, so every moment what happens? This location is changed. That's the time. What is the Vedana? Remember in this, you so what is Vedana? You know, I hope you understand it. Okay, you do. This word I say. Okay, what is Vedana? Because whatever you observe is nothing other than me. Remember that's the Vedana and Sanya create the word, right? Vedana is your focus. What is Sanya? Whatever you grab. Okay. So that is actually Passa. Passa Pacha Vedana. Vedana Pacha Tanha. What's the Tanha here? Right there. Remember Tanha Tiffany, right? Yes. Look at the thread. Who? Okay. Tanha does what? Tanha Pacha Upadana. It glue everything together. Upadana is a glue. Then what the glue does? Upadana Pacha what? Bhavo. Right there. Yes, then what happened? Jati. What is Jati? You saw a man walking. But just these pictures actually man walking? No. Because your eyes, remember that's why at that level everything is what? Upekha. Because you can never observe Upekha level unless you see the Dhamma. Okay, that's Upekha. Then we interpret, we give all the details and we make a mess. All right, so I think I am going to stop it because of time. Actually, there are a few interesting things, but one more thing, let me show you this one quickly. Because I'm going to speak this. This is important too. Look at this very carefully, okay? I'm going to, one day I'm going to take only 2 minutes. That is a two-dimensional thing. I know Bante is looking at the time now. That's a two-dimensional thing. That's a three-dimensional us. If you have a table, that's a tabletop, just like that. Remember, look at this. We have a lot of books on the tabletop, right? So if there is a two-dimensional, we think about ant. You don't have to think this hypothetical, or even amoeba, who has observation. Okay, what this amoeba can or ant can observe? Only 4 books on this table. All the way to what? Table. Right? I don't know where it's writing. Okay. So you can stack up all the way to it, but can this being ever see the stack? No, even under this being only see the last 4. Those are the fools who question apart. Why? Because or even God highlights. Why? Because what we can capable of observing is whatever in 3-dimensional level. But what is the difference between this being and this being? Because this is 2-dimensional, that's 3-dimensional, right? This dimension being has higher dimensions, so therefore it can see more. Now, one more thing I saw in a very kind of innocent man. Once I heard in a Dhamma sermon on YouTube that one of the doctors has come to him and said, Bhante, never talk about the what is that Mahamir. Because today we have satellites. Yeah, after talking about this kind of putting Dhamma or Buddhism down. Buddha talk about Mahamir. Should you afraid of talking about it? Buddha said it? No, why? Because Mahamir is not in our dimension. Because satellites are created by scientists who have 3-dimensional understanding. So whatever, remember, I do these pictures, right? Because they are mine. Now, can I draw a 4-dimensional picture? I have no idea. At the same time, can this person draw this circle? No, because remember that this circle is a line. So this person is not capable of understanding circles. We are not capable of understanding Mahamir. It is beyond our dimension. Does that make it wrong or false? No. That is what we call ignorance. If somebody does that. Okay. Now I'm going to stop it after this. Let's look at this. Because we need to understand beyond our mind. That's the 4th dimension. Now we have heard that Arahat Moggallana were capable of going to walls, right? Like your Mahamir, we went to that, and there are so many things. Okay. Now, plus one more thing. Watch this one more time. I can touch both sides at the same time because that's my person. I can touch past, present, and future at the same time. Plus, now think about this being right here. Does this second angle be aware that I am living here in this dimension? No. This person doesn't aware that we are living here because we are living in 3-dimensional. That's it. That's a 2-dimensional world. But can it identify I see me? When I touch this, what happens? It sees the area I touch. I follow me? So he or she, I don't know whoever it is, notice that somebody is there. But what happens when I take my hand? So this person might disappear. Just like gods disappear in front of Buddha. Or in Buddhism, there are so many disappearances, right? When Buddha disappear. Okay, just like that. When I take my finger, it disappears. When I touch it, what happens? It happens. You know the quality. What this person called me, I finger. This is my Chintaka for this person. Okay, because it can never see. So can you ever see a bone? Remember, we usually give human figures, right? As gods. Can they look like us? But I can, especially because in one of the sutras, Buddha mentioned, look at the rituals. God. Anyway, let me show you very quickly. I'm going to stop you. This is how a 4-dimensional being observe or understand the world. Remember, they have length, right? X-axis, Y-axis, and Z. Remember, this and that is part of that. That's the 4th dimension. See what happened when this person go to the 4th dimension. Just like when I took my finger, right? I disappeared. Remember, sometimes gods come and disappears. You must Buddha did to Brahma. That's that. When somebody is living in higher dimension, yes, that person can disappear in front of our eyes. Plus one more thing I'm going to stop. Is this person's real picture? We see a human. remember that person, my B was what? My fingertip. So that is this person's three-dimensional form. One more thing. I told you that if you want to go outside, we have to walk through this wall. But we can go, look at this. If you want, I can go through this as I wish, right? Because I have the dimension, I can go. But this person is blocked by this. Just like that, if somebody is in 4D, what happens? Just like I can go through this, right? Because I don't have this blocking. It does not, because I can go, I am living in this dimension. So I can go free. But this person cannot go because of that, that's why we have to go this way. Why I said that? If there is a pipe or something to go out, you have to use the board. If there is a 4-dimensional beam, what it can do? It can go to the board. It can fly to the roof too, just like Bhavana did. Yes, if you can go to the, if you can experience, not go, if you can experience high dimension, you can do many things you see in Buddhism. So nothing is made up for unexperience. So like, okay, Mansi, I took a lot of time. So thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have questions, I can answer, but I know you are tired. And some of this, it's the last time too. I added more. Yeah, I'm done.
I just would like to summarize the talk.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that if possible that you just back to the slide where the wavelength. First go to the magnetic wave first.
First part.
The last one, the one at the end where you saw the magnetic wave. Okay, so currently, scientists prove that you hear my voice. Do I need to use the mic?
Thank you, Bhante, for giving me a chance to give a summary of the talk. I think the talk is very beautiful because I think Buddha is a very, very true novel knowledge in science. That's the reason, even though I am a scientist about before I come up. So look at this one. Nowadays, if you talk about energy, everything is about energy. So this is got two dimensions. The first dimension is about the medical dimension. The second dimension is about magnetic dimension. So magnetic is from the heart. If you look at a lot of, if I can search for you, the Heart Institute of US right now, they say that every one of us can send out the magnetic wave with the compassionate. That's why when you live with another person, you feel happy or be calm. So our professor also mentioned that theta is more 2D, so it will be on the blue one with the magnetic wave. Magnetic wave is based on our body. So and then the red wave is based on our compassion in more on our.
Okay, I'm sorry to disturb, but well, invest the quantum theory is given.
Yeah, but I think
Because this is the reason.
yeah.
Mind does not, right? Mind does not need any form to serve us, even the body. That's why it's not correct. I will stop you. Think about this very carefully. When you were born, I mean, after what when you were conceived, where you come to? What's their body? Anywhere. Was there any brain or heart? Nothing. But the Vijnana Sarva, what does it mean? Vijnana literally does not need a body. On the other hand, when somebody dies, there are 4 things need to be fulfilled for the death. Right? The bodies are supposed to be shut down. Right? Then what? Breathing supposed to
You
be
need the-
slow.
Yeah.
Breathing supposed to be slow. What's the third one? The Vinyana, and that's one more. The body temperature.
Yes.
Yes. That's not really body temperature.
Or it's not.
Exactly. Now, why is it important? It's very important. Because I know a lot of people think body is important. No, body is not important at all. Now, it's very important to understand. A lot of people, including some of us, think at the last minute, I can think.
Yeah.
Think of something we did different. I know you're good day, think about Dhamma or Patina or something. What's the problem? When you die, your entire body is already gone. So you are under mercy of what? Your own mind. Because it's still, not my words are time. Still, your body is now gone. Dead. People are, your loved ones are start crying. But you are still dead. Because you have still body temperature. Okay. Now remember the Vijnana came to a bodiless place and Vijnana leaving what? Bodiless place. Now what is the real danger? I want to understand. Why the person, a screen enterer or somebody beyond that can say, I escape from the bad words. Okay, I'm using simple terms, okay. But anyone else cannot even confirm it or what is the word for that? Say it in certainty. Okay, what eventually drive your next bulb? Okay, that's what we know about. Micro actually is not just the body. I mean, I know it's kind of Chinese.
I haven't finished yet, Professor, because it's not about the body.
It's about the energy. It's about how we collect the energy to become body. So if you look at this one is the talk about the energy waves. So just now we all is the same energy. The difference is the frequency. So just a different frequency. So if you look at this one, radio wave, it can carry the sound. That's why you can have FM. I you. So radio wave, you can hear the sound like 100 and about 10 around here, right? 10, but if you heard about 2.4 gigahertz, 5.0 gigahertz, then you only not carry the image, but also sound. That's why you can see image and sound together. So if you look at when you meditate, you can remember the sound, whether past, future, or present. When you meditate, you can remember back the image. That's the two things we can remember. So this is the energy. So I'm talking about energy can carry the thoughts, the data, and the story. Sound, image, and sound. And this is where the people can see. But if you just think that in Buddha, he meditates and his power can be, this is the low frequency, and then he can go up to this level. So this is accurate. There is one Arahant in the past, during Buddha time, he able to concentrate his mind. So that's why his eye can see another people as just a bone. If you have your eyes up to the level of the X-ray, it is a bone. And the last one is actually gamma ray is nothing else. It only can kill the human. That's the last slide. And the last slide I would like to say is, if you remember, our professor saw the earth is go or rotate. So we are sitting here, we feel that we are not moving, but we are really moving a lot. So this body is collection of 4 elements, 5 elements as well. Earth, fire, and air, space. So because of that, we are here, and the end, because we are traveling a lot, so we deserve one time, one day. Surely it we deserve. But and then without consciousness, we collect to the new life, a new life, and a collection. So whatever Buddha said is very correct. And how Buddha can see because he but fly beyond that, so he can see everything beautiful. So I think I will end my.
I have a question on this.
I think we can talk later on because yeah,
I just would like to thank you so much because I just want to wrap them to back the content back to Buddhism.
Because I mean, my intention was not exactly that, because remember, I want to separate the self, now, remember I said that, because who observed whatever explores? Somebody. You see what is the problem? It is not a person. Is there a person right now here? I know, because please understand what I explained very clearly, because it is not even close. Okay. Remember, I told you that Vijnana came to a cell, right? Today you have this. Now, who is the production of this? Earth. We eat everything from Earth. Who produced, who gave everything to Earth? Sun. Okay. Everything is a production of sun. Okay. Energy. Okay. So then, who are you? Can you observe any waves? Is there any such thing called somebody observing? Because what the problem in that mindset? There's a self. It is the most dangerous thing. You see the problem? Because you observe it. So what happened? It's a natural phenomenon, right? People understand it based on what? Avijja, Dhamma, Tanha, Ahara. It is Avijja, Dhamma, and Ahara creating. Of course, Tanha is part of it too. Okay, don't give any selfness to it. It is a process. Okay, that process happens whether you think or not. So what happened? Remember I mentioned that Mahanidana Sutta, we add essence, I see, and we eat it as what? Me and my work. You see what I'm saying? I hope, I mean, even please discuss this, because that is different from what I said. This is a process. It is not even a person. That's a diagrammatic way. Does anything need required for no? It's part of Big Bang. Right now it is going to us. We are part of the universe. Okay. We are processing naturally the same way. But what is the problem? Whenever this happens, we give a value, me, myself, and mine. Remember? Mine,
How about the Vijnana? You say that Vijnana doesn't need the body.
no.
So can it can exist by itself? So the Vijnana can be like so like.
No, this is the thing.
So
Vijnana needs what? Vijnana pacha nama rupa. Nama rupa pacha vijnana. It needs, that's not the body. Exactly. Now what happened during birth? Where's the body? Remember there is what happened in Mahakasapa, there was Mahakasapa Buddha Sasana, right? One of the main disciples was in deep Yosapatta. Okay, there was a cattle owner. He thought this monk is dead. He literally burned him. So he burned the entire area. After 7 days, he saw that there was a rope. He was in charge. He didn't die because he had superpower. Okay, but he was dead. So this is the
so even when Vijnana cannot exist by itself.
because it needs nama rupa. So how to create the nama rupa? For example, think about arupa, brahma, plants. Do they have rupa? No. They are jhana. Act like what? Nama rupa. Right? Vijnana cannot survive. Energy cannot survive alone. Now, as I said, it is not magnetic wave is I said nama rupa. Electric wave is Vijnana. It is a series. They intertwine. That's what we call samsara. Patulavatati. It's not a biology. We want to use Buddha's word. It is cycle, cyclic. Vijnana, nama rupa, Vijnana. Even Buddha had the same. Remember, that's what we call sober system and unpleasant part. Okay, when they understand it, they become so much is Nibbana, but what happened after that? Their body, they have, to say, I'm living until I die. So they are not thinking very well. The body has, and think about our bodies, even though we value it. This is the product of the earth. So one day, what happened when I die? I mean, my kids will cry and probably put me somewhere, right? I'm gone. So we all value, and that's why I don't want to give any value to the body because I don't like body at all in this discussion. Because body is a product of what? It is logical. I mean, that's why it's not disrespectful. I want to stop that. I don't want to add anything logical to this discussion. Because what we discuss is what? Low of the result. Because when you include body, what happens? It becomes worldly. Remember, this body belongs to this world. That's it. We all came as a cell, right? Who created this body? The food. One day when I die, what happens? This will be a proper food to the animal. Right? That's Buddha's word too. So we have to leave the body out of this because that's how you attain what? Non-returnal level. Because when you realize what happens, you are living with only Vedana and Sanya. You never, even somebody comes behind you, don't even stay out. So, I mean, I think you need to think deeper about that, right? Okay, but yes. I'm sorry, but I'm sort of stop that. Okay,
Thank you very much. I don't know to take the time now. I know you all are waiting for a break. So then we can take almost 20 minutes break and come back at 7 o'clock. Thank you.